Welcome to Starlight Sci-Fi, your portal to the cosmos of imagination. Today we uncover a tale of humanity's unyielding spirit and startling vengeance. Buckle up for the ultimate HFY journey that left the Galactic Council in stunned sun to silence. This is Earth's vicious revenge leaves the Galactic Council in shock. The year was 2235, and Earth stood at the threshold of its greatest triumph or its darkest hour. After centuries of struggle, humanity had achieved what once seemed impossible: recognition by the Galactic Council. This interstellar body, a coalition of hundreds of advanced civilizations, served as both arbiter and an overseer of the galaxy's affairs. For humanity, the invitation to become an observer species was heralded as the dawn of a new era. Earth's leaders and scientists celebrated the opportunity to learn from civilizations thousands, even millions of years more advanced. The excitement was palpable. Humanity was no longer alone. Yet beneath the veneer of celebration lay tension. Humanity's history, marked by conflict and survival against impossible odds, was an anomaly among the Council's species. Most had evolved in relative peace, guided by cooperative instincts and long spans of unbroken progress. Earth's past of war, environmental degradation, and relentless drive for dominance seemed alien and dangerous. Initially, the Council observed humanity with detached curiosity. They marveled at how a single species could thrive on such a volatile planet, weathering natural disasters, climate crises, and self-inflicted wounds. But the marvel soon gave way to unease. To the Council's biologists, Earth's ecosystem was a cauldron of chaos, teeming with hyper-competitive species and pathogens that could devastate entire biospheres. To its political leaders, humanity's aggressive survival instincts posed a potential threat to galactic stability. The shift from curiosity to scorn was subtle at first. Human diplomats noticed the quiet avoidance at council gatherings, the whispered debates in alien languages. Then came the outright accusations. Humanity, some argued, was too reckless, too violent, too unpredictable. The Council began drafting reports that painted Earth as a unique danger, a planet where evolution had favored destruction over harmony. It wasn't long before the judgment came. A grim delegation of Council envoys arrived in Earth's orbit, delivering the decision with chilling finality. Earth, they decreed, was a biological hazard, a planetary anomaly too dangerous to coexist with the rest of the galaxy. Humanity's unpredictable nature and Earth's volatile environment made them unfit for inclusion in the galactic community. For the greater good, Earth would be sterilized. The planet's surface would be purged, its ecosystems dismantled, and its people eradicated. The decision sent shockwaves across the globe. Protests erupted in the streets and desperate messages were sent to the Council, pleading for reconsideration. But the Council had made up its mind. To them, Earth was a cancer and humanity was its most dangerous symptom. The countdown to extinction began. For the first time in millennia, humanity faced a foe it could not reason with. Or so the Council thought. Panic spread like wildfire as the Council's decree echoed across Earth. The realization was crushing. Humanity's accomplishments, its cultures, and its very existence were to be wiped out by forces far beyond its comprehension. No nation, no army, no fleet could stand against the Council's sterilization directive. Their technology was light years ahead of Earth's, their ships capable of obliterating entire planets with surgical precision. To the Council, Earth was not an enemy, but an infection to be cleansed, a mere formality in their long history of maintaining galactic order. The people of Earth reacted as they always had to impending catastrophe, with both chaos and resilience. Governments scrambled to negotiate, to send emissaries, to plead for a stay of execution. And messages of desperation were broadcast into the stars, hoping for sympathy from alien species who might see value in humanity's survival. But silence was the only answer. Within weeks, despair turned into grim resignation. The Council had no interest in compromise, and no species dared defy its ruling. Earth's fate was sealed. Yet, even as the world teetered on the brink of annihilation, something remarkable happened. Beneath the fear and chaos, humanity's indomitable will began to stir. For centuries, humans had survived against odds no other species could endure: plagues, wars, natural disasters, and even the brink of nuclear extinction. Now, faced with extinction at the hands of the galaxy's most powerful coalition, humanity's greatest minds began to act. In secret, a coalition of scientists, engineers, and military strategists convened. They called themselves the Phoenix Directive, a name that symbolized rebirth through fire. Their mission was not survival, it was retaliation. If humanity was to be erased, it would not go quietly. Plans were drawn, resources were pooled, and the brightest minds worked day and night in underground bunkers, hidden laboratories, and remote facilities. Earth itself became a weapon. Its natural disasters, once seen as curses, were repurposed as defenses. Volcanoes were seeded with explosive charges, tectonic plates wired with seismic triggers. Oceans became laboratories for underwater drones and torpedoes, while the skies filled with satellites armed with railgun technology. Humanity's ingenuity, honed over millennia of conflict, turned the planet into a fortress. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders prepared their people. Publicly, they offered reassurances that negotiations might succeed, but privately, they prepared for the worst. They knew the Council would come. They knew Earth would fall. But they also knew something the Council did not. Humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, to endure, and to strike when least expected. A storm was brewing, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The day of reckoning arrived in silence. The Galactic Council's sterilization fleet slipped into Earth's orbit, its massive ships gleaming like harbingers of doom. Their sleek, unblemished hulls reflected the light of a dying blue planet below. Each vessel bristled with weapons capable of vaporizing continents and sterilizing ecosystems in seconds. There was no ceremony, no grand announcement. To the Council, this was just another mission in their long, calculated history of maintaining galactic order. Earth, however, appeared eerily tranquil. From the vantage point of the fleet, its cities were abandoned, their once vibrant skylines reduced to cold silhouettes. The seas churned with storms, their gray waves masking any trace of life. The Council's commanders took this as a sign of humanity's resignation. They expected panic and resistance, but instead they found a ghost world. Confident in their superiority, they began their operation, activating their sterilization protocols with clinical precision. As the first sterilization drones descended, the trap was sprung. The skies erupted in streaks of light as Earth's hidden defense systems came to life. High-powered railguns, camouflaged within mountain ranges and urban ruins, fired with devastating accuracy. The first wave of drones was obliterated mid-air, their metallic husks raining down like meteors. From the oceans, concealed plasma cannons surged upward, tearing through the hulls of orbiting ships. Massive EMP blasts rippled through the atmosphere, disabling the precision systems of the Council's fleet. The sterilization fleet's initial response was confusion. How could a backwater planet launch such a sophisticated counterattack? But confusion quickly turned to panic as Earth's retaliation intensified. Autonomous drones, launched from underground silos, swarmed the fleet, overwhelming their defenses. Orbital satellites, presumed destroyed by Council sabotage months ago, reactivated and fired concentrated energy beams into the fleet's vulnerable points. Even the planet's weather seemed to conspire against the invaders as hurricanes and ash clouds, engineered by humanity's environmental manipulations, disrupted their sensors and communications. Within hours, the once mighty sterilization fleet was in tatters. Ships that had obliterated entire worlds now found themselves outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outmatched. The Council's commanders, who had once dismissed humanity as primitive and chaotic, were forced to retreat, leaving behind the wreckage of their arrogance. Humanity's victory was not without cost. Cities lay in ruins from the activation of Earth's defenses, and vast swathes of land had been sacrificed to the firepower unleashed. But the message was clear. Earth was no mere target. It was a fortress, a graveyard for those who underestimated its people. In their hubris, the Council had awakened something they couldn't control, a planet united not by fear, but by a shared resolve to survive at any cost. The destruction of the sterilization fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Galactic Council, confident that humanity's fate had been sealed, was left stunned and humiliated. The force with which Earth had defended itself was unlike anything they had ever witnessed. In their arrogance, they had assumed Earth's defenses were primitive, easily bypassed. Instead, humanity had turned its planet into a weapon, using decades of accumulated ingenuity to launch a counterattack that left the galaxy's most advanced civilizations reeling. But even as the Council reeled from the unexpected loss, a more insidious plan was set in motion. The first step was retaliation, but Earth's leaders knew that simple defense would never be enough. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, it was fighting for its place in the galaxy. It was time to strike back, not just with force, but with a weapon the Council had never anticipated: information. A virus, simple in appearance but devastating in function, was unleashed into the vast communication networks of the Galactic Council. At first, it seemed like little more than a minor nuisance, a few erratic signals and data interruptions. Council officials dismissed it as an insignificant glitch. However, the virus was no accident. It was a carefully crafted tool designed not to harm systems, but to infiltrate and expose. Hidden deep within the code was a trove of forbidden knowledge. The virus began to broadcast encrypted data to every corner of the galaxy, slowly revealing the Council's darkest secrets. Humanity had spent years studying its adversaries, and through their research, they had uncovered the Council's long history of systematic extermination. Species that had once been deemed too dangerous or too volatile had been eradicated without remorse, their civilizations wiped from the galactic records. Entire planets had been sterilized, their inhabitants massacred in the name of order. The information spread like wildfire. First, it leaked into Council member species, many of whom had long suspected the truth but had been kept in the dark. Then it spread to neutral worlds, ones that had never before dared to challenge the Council's power. Shock turned to outrage as every corner of the galaxy learned of the Council's brutality. Civil unrest erupted on countless planets. Protests and uprisings tore through the once stable regions of galactic authority. Some species, long subjugated and forgotten, rallied behind the new cause, the fight for justice against the Council's reign. Earth's virus had done more than expose the Council's darkest secrets. It had fractured the once unified empire, turning allies into enemies and sowing distrust among the Council's ranks. For the first time, the members of the Galactic Council saw the weight of their decisions. Earth had done more than survive, it had ignited a revolution. The galaxy, it seemed, was beginning to wake up. As the galaxy reeled from the revelation spread by Earth's viral assault, the Galactic Council found itself on the defensive, scrambling to contain the growing chaos. With their credibility shattered and their grip on the galaxy slipping, they could no longer maintain their previously unchallenged dominance. It was in this moment of weakness that Earth made its next move, one that would send shockwaves through the galaxy and leave the Council scrambling to respond. But humanity didn't launch an all-out attack. Instead, it did something far more insidious. Earth had learned from its past mistakes. It wasn't going to throw itself recklessly into a full-scale war. No, this time humanity would strike where the Council least expected it, through a series of invisible, calculated blows. Earth's response was not to send its own fleet, not to meet the Council's power with brute force, but to create a phantom armada of drones and automated ships designed to make its enemies doubt everything they thought they knew. Humanity's engineers and military strategists had worked tirelessly, adapting the Council's own technology against them. Using the scraps of their own warships and the remnants of stolen alien designs, Earth created an army of drones, autonomous ships, controlled by advanced artificial intelligence, designed to operate without human intervention. These ghost ships could move undetected, strike with deadly efficiency, and disappear before anyone could retaliate. The key to their success was their ability to mask their origin, their true purpose concealed behind a veil of false signals and decoy transmissions. The first wave of attacks began with no warning. Strategic target supply depots, hidden weapons caches, and even the Council's most important shipyards were hit in quick succession. The Phantom Armada moved in and out of radar range, leaving behind only wreckage and the smell of burning metal. In their wake, the Council's military forces were left scrambling, unable to determine where the next attack would come from. The confusion quickly spread. The Council's once pristine communication channels were flooded with misdirection. Some ships were sabotaged by Earth's drones, others were simply left drifting in space, their systems crippled by precision strikes from hidden Earth satellites. At first, the Council assumed the attacks were isolated incidents, perhaps the work of rogue factions within their ranks. But soon, the truth became undeniable. Earth had developed an entire covert fleet, one that moved with terrifying precision and flawless coordination. The Council could not figure out how to stop it. The attacks continued, relentless in their speed and scope. The damage done to Council operations was significant, not just in material terms, but in the sheer psychological toll it took on the galactic leadership. For the first time in centuries, the Council's supremacy was in question. And even as they attempted to rebuild, humanity's drones moved silently in the shadows, striking again and again and again. The Galactic Council was no longer the unstoppable force it once was. Every attack made by Earth's Phantom Armada only deepened the cracks in the Council's authority, leaving its members unsure of where to turn. And somewhere, deep within the heart of Earth's leadership, a message was being sent to the galaxy, a message that Earth had not been defeated. In fact, it was only just beginning. As the attacks by Earth's Phantom Armada grew in frequency and precision, the Galactic Council's once unified front began to fracture. What had begun as a reaction to a rogue planet now threatened to tear apart the fabric of the Council itself. Member species who had once blindly followed the Council's lead now found themselves questioning their loyalty. The virus Earth had unleashed had done more than expose the Council's darkest secrets. It had exposed its vulnerability. In their arrogance, the Council had believed it could control the galaxy with an iron fist, but Earth had proven that even the mightiest powers could be brought to their knees. Across the galaxy, whispers of rebellion began to grow louder. Species who had suffered under the Council's rule for centuries now saw an opportunity. Earth, once seen as a pariah, had become a symbol of defiance, a beacon of resistance against the Council's tyranny. For the first time, there was a chance for those who had been oppressed to rise up and take control of their own fate. On the outer rim of the galaxy, the once neutral planets, those who had avoided the Council's internal politics, began to reassess their positions. No longer willing to remain silent bystanders, they reached out to Earth, offering their support. Some provided ships and technology, while others shared intelligence, all eager to see the Council weakened. These worlds, once caught in the Council's web of influence, now saw an opening to break free. And as the resistance spread, more and more planets began to rally behind Earth's cause. Within the Council itself, a rift began to form. The species that had once stood united in the belief that the galaxy needed to be controlled through absolute order began to fracture. Some, particularly the militaristic factions, wanted to double down on the Council's strategy, sending a massive retaliation force to crush Earth and its supporters once and for all. Others, more pragmatic species, began to voice doubts. They questioned the wisdom of continuing a war that had already cost so much. The galaxy was teetering on the edge of chaos, and there were some who believed the Council's actions had already triggered a rebellion that was impossible to stop. The Council, desperate to retain its authority, attempted to isolate Earth, hoping that cutting it off from its newfound allies would starve it of resources. But it was already too late. Humanity had already proven its resilience and ability to adapt. Earth's influence was spreading across the galaxy faster than the Council could react. Humanity was no longer just a planet to be eradicated, it was a force to be reckoned with. The fractures deepened, and the balance of power shifted. What was once an unchallenged regime now faced a galaxy that no longer feared it. Species that had once bowed to the Council now looked to Earth for leadership, seeing in humanity the strength and determination they themselves lacked. The rebellion, once a spark, was now a full-fledged fire, and the Council's days of unchecked power were numbered. Earth had not only survived, it had turned the galaxy's systems against itself, breaking its oppressors from within. The final confrontation was inevitable. After years of hidden strikes, fractured alliances, and growing unrest, the Galactic Council could no longer ignore the threat Earth posed. The rebellion had spread too far, its influence too vast. Even the Council's most loyal members began to waver. Species that had once viewed the galaxy's dominant power with reverence now saw the Council as an entity consumed by arrogance, corruption, and cruelty. The Council, in its attempt to restore order, had created the very chaos it had tried to eliminate. The Council's military leaders made one last attempt to crush Earth's resistance by assembling a massive invasion fleet, the likes of which had never been seen before. Their plan was simple: wipe out Earth once and for all, leaving no trace of humanity behind. This fleet, composed of the most powerful ships and forces in the galaxy, would descend upon the Earth and end the rebellion with overwhelming force. The Council believed that such an act would solidify their authority once and for all, crushing any hope of further uprisings. But Earth had anticipated this move. In the time since the first battle, the planet had not only fortified its defenses but had learned how to weaponize its very environment. What had once been a collection of scattered drones and makeshift defenses had evolved into something far more sophisticated. The planet itself had become a living, breathing entity of defense, ready to fight for its survival. As the invasion fleet neared Earth, the planet unleashed its final weapon, a storm of devastating force that overwhelmed the Council's fleet before they could even make their descent. Earth's atmosphere had been rigged with electromagnetic pulses that disabled the most advanced weaponry, and what followed was a relentless barrage of missiles, energy pulses, and seismic attacks that tore through the invaders' ships. The Council's fleet, trained for battles in space, was ill-prepared for the unrelenting onslaught from the planet's surface. The fleet, once confident in their superiority, found themselves scattered and helpless against an adversary they had underestimated. Earth's planetary defense systems had taken the very technology that had been used to dominate it and turned it against the invaders. Within hours, the once mighty invasion force was reduced to a scattered mess of wreckage and fleeing ships. Desperation set in as the remaining members of the Galactic Council realized they had miscalculated on a scale they could not undo. Earth had not only resisted their attacks, it had turned their own power against them. As their fleets burned and retreated, the Council was forced to accept the inevitable. Earth had won. The galaxy, once united under the Council's oppressive rule, was now a fractured entity. The planets that had once feared the Council's wrath now looked to Earth with awe, seeing a species that had risen from the ashes of its own destruction to challenge the very foundation of galactic order. Humanity had proved its worth, not just as a survivor, but as a force to be reckoned with. In their final act of defiance, Earth had shown the galaxy that no force, no matter how powerful, could ever truly crush the spirit of those who refused to be silenced. The era of the Galactic Council was over, and a new chapter in the galaxy's history had begun. Thanks for watching Starlight Sci-Fi. If you enjoyed this tale of humanity's vengeance and triumph, hit like, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, keep dreaming of the stars.